Welcome back to the OSM channel. In today's video I would like to teach you how to replace the transmission drive belt on a Craftsman LT2000 lawn tractor. Now I would imagine there's a few different ways to complete this job. My method is going to entail removing the mower deck. We're going to place a floor jack underneath the front of the mower, jack up the front of the machine, support it with jack stands, and then we should have good clear access to the transmission drive belt. Now the transmission drive belt on my machine is not faulty, it's still fine, but I just wanted to create an instructional video to help people out there to repair their lawn tractor. So without further ado, let's get started in the disassembly process. Now to remove the mower deck from this machine, it's not a big deal. It should take you about 5 minutes. A tool that I found to be very helpful with the removal of the deck is a pair of needle nose pliers with a 45-degree tip. So first, we're going to start in the front of the machine and we're going to work our way back. First thing we need to remove are these forward linkages that connect to the mower deck. And we're going to have to first unpin these hairpin cotters. Something else I like to do, I like to take these connecting rods, I like to rotate them a little bit so that they're parallel with the mower deck. And I find that this just helps to keep them out of the way when we drag the deck from underneath the machine. Next thing you want to do is ensure that the mower deck is all the way down on its lowest setting. So on either side of the machine you're going to see that there are these lift arms, and this is what lifts the mower deck up and down. Where they connect onto the mower deck is towards the rear of the machine, and you'll be able to distinguish that connection point because there is a hairpin cotter. We're going to remove that hairpin cotter on both sides of the machine. Now to finish disconnecting this pivot point, what you may have to do is sneak a hand underneath the mower deck, lift up a little bit so you relieve the pressure on that connection, and sneak your fingers out of the way, and then you can drop the deck down. Same thing, here's the lift arm on the other side of the machine. We'll remove this hairpin cotter. Again, we'll lift up on the deck and separate this pivot point. So while we're still towards the front of the machine, we also need to remove the belt that connects the mower deck to the engine output shaft. So because we have most of the linkages disconnected from the mower deck, what we can do, we can pull on this belt towards us that scoots the deck forward. Then we can sneak this belt around this guide and simply slip it off the engine output shaft pulley. Get that belt out of the way. Now there's a few more linkages we still need to disconnect in the back. So let's get to those now. Now on the back left side of the mower deck, there is another, I'm going to call it a stabilizer linkage that we need to disconnect. So again, there's just a hairpin cotter we'll have to pull out, disconnect the linkage. And also I'm noticing this bracket is loose. There's a bolt up there. Looks like I'm just going to have to tighten that up. What you want to do now is take your mower deck lift lever and lift it all the way up to the mower deck's highest position. And what this does, it clears those lift arms away from the mower deck. So now it makes it much easier to slide this deck out from underneath the machine. Now we need to start sliding the mower deck out from underneath the right side of the machine. We're just going to slide it out a little bit because we still need to disconnect the linkage for the mower engagement cable. Now to make this job a little bit easier, typically what I like to do is hook on a ratchet strap to the rear wheel as well as the front bracket that connects to the forward linkages. And this just allows you to help control the deck as you pull it out from underneath the machine. You can see what I'm talking about. It started to kick out to the left, but I was able to correct that by pulling a little bit more on the right side of the strap. And you want to pull it out until you have access to this spring and this cable. So we need to finish disconnecting the clutch engagement cable. So this is the clutch pulley, and on top of the clutch pulley you'll notice we have another hairpin cotter and a spring. We're going to pull a hairpin cotter out of the way, lift the spring up, we'll put that hairpin cotter back in place. And if we look towards our left, you can see where this cable connects to a post on the mower deck. So to disconnect this connection, pull a hairpin cotter out, pull back, and simply remove this cable up out of the way. The mower deck is now completely disconnected from the underside of the machine, thus we can grab onto our ratchet strap and finish pulling this deck out from underneath the machine. Now with the mower deck removed, I'm going to chock behind the rear wheels. I'm also going to hop on the machine and just ensure that I have the parking brake set. And I'm also going to leave the machine engaged in gear. With the floor jack, I'm going to jack up the front of the machine on this front axle cross member, right here. Before we get underneath the machine, we got to put some jack stands up. Now there's a good chance you're going to be able to replace that transmission belt without removing the battery and the battery tray. However, just to give you a good visual idea of what's going on above the transmission, I'm going to remove the battery and battery tray so you can see what's going on. By the way, battery lugs are 7/16. Well, in order to get this tray out of here, it looks like we also have to pop this clip out of the steel. This is the clip for the wiring harness for the seat safety switch. So I have the body clip removal tool. Just sneak it under here, pop it out. There's a second one right here. Not 100% sure we have to pop it out, but we'll pop it out anyway. Now from here, we should be able to remove the battery tray by taking a fingernail and pushing this clip in on the left side as well as the right side. We can kind of work this up out of the way, give us access to the transmission pulley. Now here's a look at the top of that transmission pulley. Now we do have a guide, a belt guide towards the front of the pulley, but I'm quite confident that once we loosen up this belt, we should be able to pretty easily sneak this belt around this guard and just pop it off this pulley. So let's go underneath the machine now. Okay, so there's a look at the transmission from the underside of the machine. You can see that pulley. Also, you can faintly see the belt guide. So if I rotate the camera towards the front of the machine, we can follow that belt. And that transmission belt, of course, goes to the main engine output shaft, but it also weaves around an idler pulley, and this is our clutch pulley. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sneak the belt off of the idler pulley. It's actually quite loose right now because we have our parking brake engaged. And you can just work this off that idler pulley. And there is our clutch pulley. There's a little tab right there. We'll just flip out of the way. Pop the belt off that clutch pulley. Now it looks like I'm going to be able to work the belt off the engine output shaft pretty easy. Obviously we have a belt guard. If you're having trouble getting the belt out in between the pulley and the guard, you of course can take this whole pulley assembly right off the engine output shaft, but you probably won't have to do that. Like you can see, this guard is a little flexible. You also might be able to rotate your engine a little bit. But you can see I have the belt off to one side and it comes off the other side quite easily. So currently I don't have enough slack in the transmission belt to slip it off the lower pulley, which again goes to the mower deck blades. No matter, we'll have to go to the back of the machine and we'll have to slip the transmission belt off the top of that transmission pulley. So here we are on top of the transmission again. Now you may be able to pop this transmission belt off this pulley from the underside of the machine, but if you remove the battery and the battery tray, you're going to have good, clear, easy access to the top of this transmission pulley. You know, sometimes it pays to get yourself set up for success. So I was able to sneak that belt right in between the pulley and the guard. We'll do the same thing on the left side here. Kind of hard to do with one hand, but I'm trying to ensure that the camera can see what I'm doing here. Walk the pulley forward a little bit. There we go. So you should be able to bend this guard just enough out of the way to get that belt on and off. Now, of course, we can go to the front of the machine and remove the belt off that output shaft completely. So now it's time to install our new transmission belt. Now, I think the easiest thing to do would be to start on the motor output shaft. So we'll sneak this belt around the lower pulley. And then as for lining it up in the groove of the upper pulley, I think it's easiest to start on the right side. So you'll push this guide to the right a little bit, seat that belt in the pulley groove, and push on the guide to the left a little bit. You should be able to sneak the belt up there. Now, as for these two pulleys, I'm not going to worry about them yet. We're going to go back and connect the rear portion of the belt onto that transmission pulley. I'm going to try and do this from the underside of the machine now, so I'm going to work this guard out of the way a little bit. All right, I got the right side popped in. Just reaching a hand back there to ensure that that pulley is in the groove. And I just have to get the belt in between this guard and the pulley. No big deal. Okay, so the final thing we had to do with this belt is we had to align this belt around the idler pulley as well as the clutch pulley. So I'm going to start with the idler pulley, work it in between the guard. It was no big deal. And then as for the clutch pulley, again, there's this little metal tab right here. You're just going to have to pry that out of the way. And this is my old belt, so this is going to be a lot easier for me than what it's going to be for you with a new belt. You may find that you need to rotate things a little bit, really pull and yank on this belt, but keep with it, you'll get it. But that's how you replace the transmission belt on a Craftsman LT2000 lawn tractor. Of course, the final thing you would do is just reinstall the mower deck, which I'm not going to do. Just if you took it apart, reverse the steps, you should be able to understand how to reinstall the mower deck. And that's that. Anyway, I'd like to thank you for watching. I'll leave links for the replacement belt as well as any of the tools I used today in the description down below. Thanks for watching. As always, I will catch you on the next one.